really feel there's any player on Alliance that they're super outmatched by. I think G is definitely one of the best mids in the world, so he's going to be absolutely fine versus S4. I don't think either of them has a major advantage either way, but nothing to really worry about there. Nothing that he needs to like focus everything on. I think VP just plays their standard draft, adjusts to what Alliance pulls out, because surely they'll do something a little weird, and then yeah, just do what they normally do.
Okay, draft 1 is underway. 2 bands in.
And
No surprises.
One thing we should keep in mind, it should never be underestimated, Alliance are coming from a win and VP are coming from a loss. And VP, historically, I think have been a team that have been pretty good at dealing with losing games. And actually, for example, at TI, they dropped to the lower bracket and then they managed to get 5th, 6th, I think. Yeah, they did beat Secret out in the lower bracket, which was a huge underdog match for them. So they can definitely deal with having a bad series and come back. Alliance, of course, with the win, like you said, maybe not. Okay, this is going very fast.
Oh yeah, VP, they knew it was going to be a first pick Doom. Like, if you leave it open, I actually thought this is going to be something that Alliance could bring to the Frankfurt Major. I think that if you can identify the strongest hero in the patch and be able to allow that into the draft and showcase you have both counters and can play it really well, I think Alliance is the one team that can really prove that. But VP instead are the ones saying, go ahead, take Doom, and they don't even get the Ancient Apparition. I think the Spirit Breaker is by far one of their best heroes, and they should pick that one up. But they couple it with the Darkseer this time around.
Do you think it's better, because I'm just thinking, when Alliance has Doom, it's always Bulldog playing it.
Yeah.
Like, they never played on Loda, right?
Very rare. A long time in the past when Doom first got popular, it was Loda.
So if it is Bulldog playing it for them, they already picked Darkseer that Bulldog couldn't have picked with this. So they could have gone for the Spirit Breaker AA that I thought was outstanding yesterday against VG Gaming. So I'm a little bit surprised they grabbed the DS already. By the way, this opener was the one Mineski used in game 1 against OG. Did not work very well.
I think it
has been used a few times, actually.
But it's not necessarily the pick's fault.
I think it's good against Alliance, though. They picked Wisp 2 times against eHome. It was Wisp and Tiny. That's something that's still scary, you know? And you have to deal with that burst damage that Tiny throws out. It throws a lot of your strats off when somebody that you expect to live, all of a sudden Tiny's there and does 1,000 magic damage. If you take the Wisp out, much less likely that you'll see a Tiny this game.
So Jara Doom for Alliance.
There's a lot of info for VP.
What would you say the info is? Because I feel like they could aggressive or they could not.
Oh, the thing is, if Alliance do run aggressive, VP already have a hero that's extremely good against aggressive tri-lanes. They have a Darkseer. He can just stand there and Iron Shell the wave and stand back. It's one of the best heroes out of any at dealing with having an unfavorable lane matchup. If Alliance do that, their Doombringer gets completely crushed in lane. He can't even defend his tower. Darkseer can obviously do that with shells. So VP, they know 2 cores. There's no way Alliance play a gyro support right now.
I mean, Doom's not awful against Dark, so you can eat one of the Iron Shell creeps.
Oh yeah, if they get a one-on-one matchup. No, Doom is actually one of the good heroes at playing against Darkseer in lane. I just don't think that's going to be the lane matchup he's going to get. Either Alliance aggressive tri-lane, and then they tri-lane against Darkseer, and then he gets tri-lane in turn, or dual lane by VP and loses the lane. Or do you think Alliance will safe lane Doom, and then VP will put Darkseer off lane and match?
You lost me like 3 sentences ago, man. That was...
It's like a game of chess, man. You got to think like 3 or 4 moves ahead.
Cindy's officially the Dota Riddler.
I'm working on my 2-step right now, and you're at like step 4.
I think Alliance are by far, I look at them sometimes like Secret and where they try to give Misery a favorable matchup, Alliance do that even more so, right? So I think it wouldn't be a bad idea if they could actually set up Admiral Bulldog on the Doom for success and run some sort of aggression, maybe an aggressive dual lane, maybe they go a full-out tri-lane or something like that, but not terribly surprising. Alliance will ban away the Queen of Pain because it's G's hero, and VP will respond by picking up the Lina.
What's the Drow ban?
Draw Visage was
Draw
good
Visage,
yesterday.
3-4 is...
I still think VP will get Visage, though.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good hero against Doom.
Absolutely. His low armor makes him really susceptible to the physical damage of the familiars.
And it's a support that has tons of nuke damage. It's a 4-second cooldown. Most heroes are sitting on like 10-second cooldowns for most of their nukes, so he can easily compensate for that high regen that Doom has.
And even if you get doomed, you have your birds. So, and generally the main heroes that you would say on paper are good against Doom are heroes that have a lot to do even after their Doom. So Death Prophet with Exorcism cast, Razor with his ultimate cast, Viper, who's just all about running and tanking up and dealing damage by taking damage. And a hero like Visage, I think, also fits into the category of heroes that could do well. I really think it's a VP Visage now.
Yeah, I mean, they picked it a lot of drafts even without Visage. Consistently, Lil would do well. Even games where his pull was blocked and his levels were a bit behind, He always catches up in those mid-game team fights. He just can perfectly micro his birds and his hero. Even if his hero dies, you still see a lot of value out of it. And they do some complex ganks like send birds to the top lane while he's busy getting last hits in the safe lane. He's just very good at the hero. He's able to do much more with it than it seems like any other team did, even when Vici stole it away from him yesterday in the set.
So, playstyle-wise, we were talking about ways Alliance could address VP's threat. Do you feel like they've accomplished with their first 3 picks to not play VP's game? Are they playing an Alliance game right now?
I mean, Gyro covers them against the aggressive dual lane with Darkseer Spirit Breaker, so in that way a little, but... And the Bane as well is a very good tri-lane support. He can also potentially just zone Lina, which would give whatever mid hero they pick some advantage. I think neither draft is really set in stone. I would say VP's maybe slightly more due to the Darkseer Spirit Breaker, but I think both drafts can still be countered or not countered from here.
Yeah, I would say Alliance just from the get-go, right, focus more on themselves by first picking the Doom, knowing that VP, that's what they wanted them to do, but they're like, doesn't matter, it's still a strong enough hero. We've seen other teams open up with a lot more like Ancient Apparition, you know, just a wide open first pick that doesn't really give a whole lot.
That still exists, by the way. That's another good pick that VP did play on Lil yesterday too.
Doom's going to be really good at shutting down the Lina as well. If he can get good Dooms off at the start of the team fight, VP's won a lot of games where Lina just went insane. G on Lina, that is. If they can Doom him, that's a big advantage, especially damage-wise. Spirit Breaker and Darkseer is decent damage each, but in a late game scenario, if a Jar has a BKB and Lina's doomed, I just don't see them killing her right now.
Hey, Sin, I wanted to ask you, this is a hero that actually I thought about a lot for Alliance. They've only run it 3 times this patch, but the Naga Siren support that used to be a thing, Alliance, I think, are probably one of the more adept heroes. Why do you think we haven't seen much of it?
I was thinking about it the other day as well, why Naga has completely fallen out of favor. There's no like change in the metagame right now that makes me feel, okay, this item just ruins it out of the new patch or anything to that extent. So yeah, I would agree that it is a hero that Alliance can turn to, especially against such an aggressive team as VP, just being able to pause the game down, set up their combo with, for example, Call Down in this case, and get Doom in a good position to Doom the Lina could be very nice.
She got slightly nerfed.
She got nerfed, but not so hard that you can't run it anymore.
Just nerfed her roaming, basically. Like early level 1 or level 2 roam. So Razor's a pickup, like you said, very good against Doom if he gets doomed. Also, there's a lot of single target spells coming out of Alliance, so his passive is going to give him some value for sure.
He's multi-purpose, good against Doom, drain Gyro.
Yeah, exactly. Draining Gyro, I think, is one of the most effective heroes to actually take away his damage. Renders that flat cannon pretty useless. More control against the Darkseer in lane.
Good against Breaker.
They already kind of had it with the Bane, but yeah.
I like the Disruptor pick a lot. Ulti versus Lina is really good if you can catch her. Glimpse is good against Spirit Breaker if you're getting ganked or something. Good against Darkseer in lane. Not very good versus Razor, I guess, but I like it against the other 3. They can get a lot done in the early game as well, and that's something that their cores really lack. Doom rotating is a little hard because having Doom and nothing else, you have to get around behind your opponent. Gyrocopter can do some roaming, but he can't really set it up, so Disruptor can basically set up Alliance's ganks in the early game.
Now they banned the Wind Ranger that Alliance did play S4 on against Cloud9. So I'm just thinking about classic S4 heroes that remain. Queen of Pain is banned, Wind Ranger's banned. He still has the Bat Rider. I don't think it's a very good Bat Rider game, to be honest.
No, I don't think the matchup is that favorable for you against Lina.
Not at all. It's one of the worst. But then again, Lina is like the worst for 80% of the middle laners. That's the worst matchup.
There's still TA in the pool, but
yep, TA is good.
I'm not sure.
No, actually no.
They need more early aggression to, like, they're going to have this Doom farming away. I think that they need something to make sure it's not just the Gyrocopter, because you have these 2 kind of like more defensive supports that are able to respond to setups from their cores, both Disruptor and Bane, rely on their cores to be able to create space to get the Fiend's Grip or get that extra pick off with a Glimpse. And so I think you really need a good tempo controller.
Yeah, TA is also very countered. She's good for the lane matchup, and that's it. She's bad against Darkseer. She's bad against Razor.
Yeah.
She's not even particularly good against Spirit Breaker. Here's a VP Classic, though, Dragon Knight.
Which
So-
does open a lot of melee heroes now. They could go something as far as like a mid Brewmaster or something like that.
Yeah, it's a support Lina then. They've basically swapped their lineup around. We were sure this was going to be a G Lina, but they might have tricked Alliance just as much as they tricked me here.
I think they're too worried about the Doom and the Disruptor.
Yeah, she's pretty
glimpse ulti.
counterpicked now.
It's they picked Dragon Knight a lot in the group stage. They got a lot of value out of him. Lots of early movement from VP will be expected here, and they've got the heroes for it. This is the kind of stuff that Illidan likes playing. Razor, very aggressive, strong with levels, doesn't need that much farm. So VP could get some huge advantage in the early game from this.
Here comes Puck.
Against Dragon Knight, I don't know. They're going to be lacking some damage there, man.
Puck.
They need something at least partially magic to deal with Dragon Knight since his armor will be so high.
How about
Razor as well. maybe.
Puck?
I think Syndrome has an idea.
Is there any space for an Alchemist? I don't think there is. My Brewmaster.
And some more classic Brewmaster. Okay,
It's probably also a better pick.
lineups complete. Alliance versus Virtus.Pro. Game 1 on the way. Malini and Toby 1, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Red. Yes, it's great to be here. Alliance up against Virtus.Pro. Alliance with a lot to prove, and VP with stability to prove in this matchup. And we're kind of hashing out the old by bringing back the Brewmaster of S4.
I know, it's a classic for him. It's a nice tempo control for the mid. I like the switcheroo that Virtus.Pro pulled with the Lina move to the support.
Yep.
And kind of leaving actually, Illidan's playing the Dragon Knight. We thought it was going to be a mid Dragon Knight.
Yeah, instead it'll actually be the Razor who gets to go towards that mid lane. And maybe that's when we start looking at Alliance switching up the lanes too, because this was something which we were kind of talking about before we actually started this up, where Alliance, they like to run this safe lane Abra Bulldog. Like, then you just throw someone to the off lane to see what's going to be a better matchup there, but can you actually get a better matchup? Who can lane against the Razor? The Brewmaster, is he enough to do it? Would you almost think you could rotate the gyro up? By the looks of it, they're going to go back towards a more stable lane and throw the Doombringer towards the off lane and the gyro up to the top.
I think that's their best option, looking over here.
I suppose their supports aren't really as tanky. With that Dazzle being banned out, they don't really have that old dual lane option which Alliance like to play for.
A lot of Alliance fans here.
Just a couple. Just a couple. They're all on the other side of the hall. It's kind of like VP. They're fighting against the crowd as well as VP, as well as Alliance.
Yeah, so it looks like they actually want to put the Razor versus the Brewmaster mid. Pretty good matchup, I would say, for Razor, but I actually think Brew's one of the few melee heroes that can actually do decently in that lane.
Is that because you're just looking towards Clap to farm?
Well, he doesn't really his damage can't be drained that much because he can just clap whenever he wants, and even if he does get a lot of damage, he has high physical damage EHP with early point in Drunken Haze or the evasion, so it's not really a lane that he can
Top
harass
lane,
the Panda out.
S4, he wants to get this room with FNG charging forward. They go for the plasma field to start with. The Nightmare keeps a little out this fight. Electric Array actually hits on nothing. The Rune still going the way of the Razor after all of this. And Alliance just want to back themselves back out. S4 barely surviving, already has to burn this salve very early on. But no one ends up dying after the engagement.
It's not so bad for him, and on top of that, the Razor was able to take a plasma field at level 1, so I guess he can get a few hits. And Brewmaster also didn't go a super greedy build and had a salve on hand, so he doesn't have to wait 30 seconds for that first one to come out.
Bulldog's playing very similar. They've actually got... No, they've only got Thunderstrike on top. Bulldog's playing insanely similar to what he does with his Lone Druid Bear. Jumps behind the tower, grabs the creep wave, pulls it up, ensures he can get that second level, because once he's got Scorched Earth, combined up with Devour, he should be pretty well set right in the off lane.
Yeah, on top of that, if he sees a nice creep, he can swing by and devour it. They don't really have a good way to send him back, I suppose. No good catch with the DK in the safe lane. Man, I don't remember the last time I saw a DK safe lane. I think I saw one of the Chinese teams run it a long time ago, but it's pretty nice.
Would you actually make Illidan more of the initiator this time around? Because the Razor will probably be building into something more like a mech. Is this the quick blink for the DK, rotate around, or is it meant to be more of the combat kind of build? Get yourself into your treads, your drums, and force out the buildings, like push down the lanes.
It depends on how much farm S4 gets. If S4's able to get early blink, he might have to go a more tanky build, whereas if not, then he can probably get away with a blink build. And
Oh, bottom lane, they might have a little bit of initiation. It's probably going to be mid lane where S4's going to be the first blood, as God just there with the charge in from the Spirit Breaker, kept them controlled. The bottom lane not really having as much of a chance to get in that first blood after Lil airballed his stun out. Looks like there was also some action up on top lane as Loda very, very injured back behind his own tier 1.
Yeah, good reason for VP's most picked hero, the Spirit Breaker. Just, I think it really suits their playstyle and just being able to pressure all 3 of the lanes, although Admiral Bulldog is getting a lot out of the bottom lane.
And S4's gonna be so careful about this. We haven't seen a Brewmaster versus, well, almost anyone, especially a Razor in a very long time in this mid lane. But with the way the static link now works, it's not as easy just to clap and walk away from the Razor. This continuous drain is actually giving enough to God that he's able to find that damage. Like the Plasma Field still did a little bit of the work, but as well as Spirit Breaker, speaking of which, Admiral Bulldog, they do have the follow-up stuns, and with the triple stuns available, they're still fighting through that regeneration of the Doombringer, and it's just not enough. Bulldog dropping down to 25 life. That's with the Breathe Fire, that's with all the stuns, the Slave. The only thing they were missing was that 17% bash.
Well, that was so close though. Scorched Earth. If it got nerfed just a tiny bit more, he would have died right there.
Especially if he also went for that more aggressive Devour build. He went for the second point up in Scorched Earth.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think you have to do that when there's a Spirit Breaker on the loose.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 1-0 in favor of VP so far. There's a small advantage coming the way of VP as far as the gold, but this is primarily just because that raid's getting so much out of the mid. S4 only at 8 CS to the 17-6 that God's managed to achieve as the Razor. And then actually pushes Brewmaster a long way behind the levels. He's actually a full level behind that of the Razor. Obviously, the death counts for a lot as well.
But of course, on the VP side, you have DK Phobos, who just recently hit level 2. And not too many stacks on the Radiant side for him to come back with. Lena's had to devote most of her time to trying to zone out Bulldog.
Yeah, an under-leveled Darkseer. We know till the Bulldog, like, if things get too rough down here, like if he dies, he may just rotate himself into the dire jungle. He's going to let the Scorched Earth off, and Illidan, he doesn't have enough mana. Even with the Mango up his sleeve, the charge is coming in. As Bulldog just postures a little bit by getting aggressive.
His Scorched Earth's about to run out, though. He has to be careful.
Yeah, FNG's on the way in, but he still understands the fact that DK's got no mana. Even Lil's walking around with only 160. Like, they have to burn both of the Mangoes in order to have a chance to kill Bulldog.
Still, he hasn't been able to go in the jungle and get a creep, though. Imagine if he had a Satyr.
Top lane, Phobos, Nightmare, gonna come out from Arcade. Nuts doesn't actually have the wall. He's got a level 2 glimpse, so they can harass out a decent amount of damage and then just glimpse him back up again. Arcade still got Brain Step available, and Phobos, perfect timing on the surge. Gets himself back behind the tier 1 tower. Arcade not actually committing his nuke to that.
They really needed the rocket barrage from Loda, but he was off. He was quite a bit of ways. But by the time the sleep wore off, there was too many creeps close by, so they couldn't actually hit him with a barrage.
It burns through the consumables a little bit of the Darkseer and keeps him away from completing that Soul Ring. Middle lane is finally going to have that charge coming in from FNG. He was waiting in the tree line for a while, and they start the static link, but God, it instantly separates. They needed that damage, and S4 just turns for the clap. Arcade in the neighborhood, not really wanting to fight up against a double damage Spirit Breaker, but at least enough to just push VP away from their Brewmaster.
They're doing a really good job of slowing down S4's farm because he's kind of their main initiator in the fight. They can't rely on the Doom because he's far too underleveled and underfarmed. He actually swung by the jungle to pick up a Centaur creep, but S4, he needs to Blink Dagger very, very early or they're not going to be able to stop the Dragon Knight push. They have a lot of wave clear from VP in case Alliance even try to make a 5-man move and sweep towers of their own, and it's far more likely that VP's going to start taking down towers once Illidan gets some more farm.
Is there any way Alliance can rotate their lanes in order to get him that farm?
I mean, they can rotate the gyro down and counter gank for the Doom. I would actually say that's probably the best move that they can do, but VP already have an Observer Ward down there to kind of mitigate this effect.
With Admiral Bulldog getting charged where they shouldn't have... Okay, now he'll walk into a position where maybe they would have vision. Doesn't give them enough information to work out there is a ward in the lane. And Alliance didn't actually find the earlier wards too. Okay, this actually is probably going to be a dead Bulldog unless he runs to the side. Now, Lil's going to arrive. The Scorched Earth doing some work, and Bulldog trying to use that Fog of War to his advantage. Still no patches arriving for FNG. RNG just is not on his side.
It was a great sidestep by him, though. He dodged the Light Strike Array.
I actually haven't seen Lil hit one of those apart from that, like the 3-man stun on bottom lane previously. Like, that was the only other one I've seen him connect on.
I mean, it's really hard with the increased movement see from Scorched Earth. you can't really blame him for missing those.
Yeah.
I guess you can be like, Spirit Breaker, come on, bash more, set up for me, man.
Yeah, because that's obviously a skill-based ability.
So Loda actually coming into a very early farming build too. We see the Morbid Mask as opposed to the early phase. So it looks like he's not really that interested in helping out the rest of his team and letting the Doom fend for himself.
I think he understands what this game is all about for him. It's all about ensuring as best you can that mid game. Not through the laning, just through his strength in the team fight, because that is still going to be very huge. VP, if they can slow down that Razor, if the damage initially from the Gyrocopter is enough, I mean, all of this VP lineup won't want to run forward. They're running 3 melees, well, /1 range.
Most of Alliance's strategy, though, I think, is trying to take on VP head-on in the fights, or else they wouldn't have committed to a last pick Brewmaster. So I don't think Loda's build coincides with that, though. Like, no treads drums early, let's say, because that's really what you need to fight VP. So I think they're not really looking to stop the DK push at all.
VP should be reading this perfectly. Spirit Breaker's waiting in the tree line, but this is the classic 7-minute Alliance push. They come in with a catapult, and they try and force the issue. They take out the tower, and, well, Phobos, Nightmare's going to start. S4's moving over. They want VP to fight into this, because then you've got the split from S4 that can go to work. And Will It Nuts takes so much damage with Lil arriving. They don't get the trade-off. That Darkseer's away to safety. There's also FNG, TP's out. Just over in the tree line. So you lose your Disruptor, you burn your Brewmaster split, and all you get is a T1 tower.
He was in an amazing position too. He was like on the left side where the T1 just fell, and then he was able to like charge through their back line to the hero that was closest to VP side. So he was actually able to escape after the charge. That was a really good maneuver by Spirit Breaker. They also didn't scout him out at all.
I'm surprised S4 didn't commit his ulti earlier. Because they jumped in, he could have just popped that and grabbed the Spirit Breaker when he ran in.
He had a haste rune, so he thought that he was going to be able to, you know, get more mileage out of his right clicks and maybe not have to use his ultimate. Because, I mean, after that, Alliance really didn't get that much out of it. They had the tower before they even needed the Brewmaster to come to the fight.
Yeah.
But ideally, you want to kill 2 people. If they commit more, then you can split and then be well on your way for Blink Decker, but not really getting that much out of that is really going to slow him down. It's 9 minutes in. I think a free farming brew usually has it around this time, but his is more likely to be delayed to maybe 14, 15 minutes, and now very problematic. And
now he's forced to farm up inside the jungle. They've given the Doombringer the space in the mid, so you do have Doom up for Admiral Bulldog. In fact, he's backing up with Arcade. There's smoke coming out in the Courier, so they might be considering a movement, but there's not enough mana on this Doombringer yet that he can join the fight.
He has a mango.
He does. He does. That still doesn't give him enough mana to get both Scorched Earth as well as your ulti off. At least the Mango is exactly the right amount of mana to get your Doom off.
So Phobos doing a pretty good job of actually not dying, which I think is commendable versus a Disruptor, as well as making his way towards the mech. But I think the ball from VP is coming down pretty soon, and it's very difficult for Brewmaster without a blink, though. If he tries to walk in and ult, he's going to get chain stunned by Dragon Knight, and Lina, who's already level 6, can easily burst him down. And barring, Glimmer Cape or a really nice defensive sleep, he's not going to be able to get it off. So that means that he might have to cast it really early on in the fight.
Okay, get a Nightmare on this Spirit Breaker. FNG getting very aggressive and loaded TPs in. He doesn't actually commit the big ultimates. The Razor will arrive, and Alliance will back up as 4 heroes show themselves in the mid. They don't have any Observer Wards looking for that, just the one Observer Ward for the Dire side watching the bottom rune area. But VP in a great position to fight. The Dragon Form is up and running as Illidan shows himself in the tree line. And with all 5 heroes, maybe now Loda will be happy he saved that ultimate of his. Rotations coming over from Nuts too. They can isolate the Dragon Knight with a wall as well as that Storm. Illidan needs to be dragged back in. They go for the Doom. The stun, however, there was a double stun from the Light Strike Array. They'll drag Illidan all the way back with a glimpse, in fact. And that'll be the death of the DK. FNG's also not a healthy man as S4 soloing him up, but the charge away in time will allow the Spirit Breaker to survive. And a very quick TP as well, no risk at all.
Alliance had really good positioning there. They saw exactly where Illidan was. He was kind of isolated from his team, and Lina was also behind him to follow up for a chain stun. They really wanted to kill the Brew, but Brew was all the way on the left side. FNG spotted him out immediately. He charged them, but they weren't able to burst him down before the ultimate. So that's a really, really good fight for Alliance. And the VP weren't in that tight-knit ball that they need to be in.
Yeah. It's funny though, because you telegraph the position. Your surprise is the Dragon Knight, but You still did heavy amounts of damage to the tower, and Alliance committed every single ulti they had. It seems like the reason we have a pause is because S4's binds for the little Brewlings not actually working for him. So that would also be understandable why there's a little bit of problems when he split it on the top lane previously.
Overall, this is going pretty well for Alliance. The Gyrocopter is going to have his HOD soon. They've already have some Ancient stacks out for Alliance, so I think they're pretty happy with how the game's been going.
They're in a pretty good position. VP, they're like, it still feels like they're the ones dictating the pace of this game. Until that Blink Dagger comes up, like you got the counter initiation that can arrive from the Disruptor.
Well, they're forced to.
Yeah. But the Doombringer doesn't have anything to jump in either. Like, do we look at the Shadow Blade and the Blink Dagger? In fact, do you get double blinks up for Alliance? And who becomes your target? Like, you Doom the Razor as well as the DK. Both are very, like, they're innately tanky against this lineup of Alliance.
Just depends on how great the Static Storm is from Disruptor. They do have that really nasty Doom Glimpse combo, so they can pretty much guarantee a hero eliminator from the fight. Mm-hmm. All right, they're ready.
Yep, that they are. So straight back into it. As VP, well, God can just see that tier 1 tower so low. It's risky to do this, however.
Yeah, there's no Brew ult or Doom, so they're pretty comfortable with that. So I think they really need the mech on the Darks here. Looks like it's only a little over halfway completed now with the headdress and the buckler out.
Mm-hmm. Well, fortification to slow down VP. You are right, Alliance will not be defending this. Instead, they're also very low on mana. If Disruptor had a little bit more to work with, that would have been fine for him. FNG's going to charge down the bottom lane, but ends up pulling out of it. Admiral Bulldog realizes a little bit of trouble and just phase moves back to his tier 2 tower. But while VP are hunting these kills, like yes, you take out the tier 1 tower in mid, you're still getting a really farmed up loader. Hello, Glimpse, God. Triggers the ulti, but Alliance aren't really looking to do anything here. Nuts has no real mana to work with. He doesn't have the ulti. He's just keeping the attention of VP in this mid lane.
Yeah, but those two supports are very vulnerable right now to a charge.
Like this one. In they run. RK still with Nightmare, however. That was how Alliance thought about initiating on the middle lane previously, where FNG charges in, then you Nightmare counter initiate.
Oh, they have the Blink Dagger on Illidan, so it should be spotted out right now. But they really need S4's ultimate up. That's 40 seconds, so I think they just let this tower go. If they try and commit, look at FNG's position again. He's like kind of behind enemy lines, so he can charge the target that they want to focus while stunning all the support in the back.
Yeah, you're right. Without that Blink Dagger, and there's nothing else to control him. Like, normally you'd have the Bane who can Nightmare one Fiend script another, but this Bane is so underleveled. Like, we're 13 minutes in, and RK is only just about to hit level 5. They need more time and space for these cores. Nuts can't find the denial. That's what he's sitting on the edge of the hill for. And VP just taking map control very simply. Pop the Dragon form, move on to another target. If they can find a kill, they go for it. Second you take out the tower, the aggressive wards start getting placed. And Alliance just dodging. They just keep farming.
They're one item behind in terms of team fight. The Brewmaster's Blink is going to come out minutes later after the Dragon Knight, and then by the time that comes out, they're going to have the mech on the Darkseer, and Alliance isn't going to have one, but they're one item ahead in terms of greed. They have the HOD up on the Gyrocopter, and of course, ability to sack the Ancients, although no control to actually take that down.
Yeah, that's really hard when you've lost your tier 1, tier 2 tower on bottom lane and your tier 1 tower in mid. You don't control Roshan and you don't control your Ancients. And VP have been watching those Ancients for the last 6-7 minutes because they've had the Observe Ward, which is now timed out. But it was watching the Ancient area.
And you can't really rely on the Gyrocopter to even do that much damage if he gets farmed, because the Razor can drain him and just walk up on him. So I think it's kind of on the Brewmaster and the Bane to make sure that the Razor doesn't have his way in the fight. He can't drain all of the Gyrocopter's damage, or else they're simply not going to have any damage output in the fights.
Admiral Bulldog is having the Centaur, which is controlled up by Loader, coming down to help the bottom lane. More than likely is RK microing it. He's just shared control of it. But because of the way the reaction came from FNG, they understand there's probably going to be an Observe Ward over there. And it already gets dewarded.
That's the area of the map that Alliance, I think, need to control the most. Their top's already pretty safe because they have the T1 tower, and next they want to move over to the Ancient so that Gyro can do that safely, get a BKB, and go to town on VP's lineup in team fights. S4 still working on his Blink, about 300 gold away.
It's taking him so long, though. Like, while he works on this, you get the completed mech over on the Darkseer. And now you have, in fact, bottom lane Blink in over on Admiral Bulldog. There's no Scorcher up, but that Disruptor ulti will buy the space to go for the Doom. Can they get the trade-off with Laguna? But Admiral Bulldog, he gets one last War Stomp. Illidan will tick low, but he probably won't die from this Doom. FNG's going to be glimpsed back into Nuts, and RK has to Nightmare him. FNG's ready to fight. Charge back off cooldown, but the wall is up, so they'll be controlled. S4 running in with that ulti, but can he get in range to really do anything? Light Striker able to control him, so will the Dragon Tail. Not the best coupling of abilities in S4. Well, 6 charges up and Loader into the fight with a Rocket Barrage and Flat Cannon. Huge amounts of damage out of Flat Cannon, comes back off cooldown. They take out 3, and they'll take out a 4th. A triple kill for Loader. Nuts extending that fight and finding more of the kills. And that's exactly what Alliance needed. That's going to skyrocket them forward. That's going to be their Blink Dagger. And that's going to be a hell of a lot of money coming into that Gyro.
Man, they saw these juicy supports. Ake, I think, was only level 4 before the start of the fight, but after the kills kept on coming in, he got to level 6, and they were able to get yet another kill. And unfortunately, they had to blow the Laguna on the Lina on the Doombringer instead of the prime target, the Brewmaster. But even if they had gotten it off, the Gyrocopter would have just tore them a new one.
Yep.
The call down just came in at the perfect time.
Oh, Nuts ends up getting cracked by Spirit Breaker, and the rest of Alliance just want to get the hell out of here. That tier 1 tower will also be denied up now by Phobos, so Alliance may be overstaying their welcome on the bottom lane.
Still, it's good. They got that tower down. This makes them feel much more safe when they want to control their side of the map. It's still on VP's court that they need to actually, I think, kill Alliance and take down their towers with the Dragon Knight in the safe lane, especially with the Blink Dagger first build. This is all about getting kills, getting the jump on Alliance.
They're coming. They're coming for Loader. RK shows himself in the lane as well. But this smoke gank kind of has to work for him. And they can find an opening. As if RK comes close to him, looks like top lane God. Well, Doom's at it again, this time with the help of Nuts and S4. And they beat down the Razor. Alliance find another kill, and this charge now comes in from FNG. They don't have Brewmaster split. In fact, with that Slave, Nuts takes terrible damage. And Admiral Bottle just has to walk away. But you trade off a Razor for a Disruptor.
And a lot of time wasted too. Alliance are doing a good job of making sure that VP has to react to them.
It's delaying the big items as well. Like if you check out the build coming out from God, he's gone for the Sun, so trying to go for the full SNY, filling the early aggression. But this now means his BKB is going to take even longer. Brewmaster control, Gyro control, Disruptor control. Even just getting doomed is just too easy against the Razor at the moment.
Yeah, they have to get BKBs too versus the Disruptor. But at the same time, even if you do get a BKB, you can still get doomed.
Yep. The ZK just decided to go for more aggression. Like, you go for that Blink Dagger. I would say he would go for something bigger, but with Illidan's 2 deaths to his name, he hasn't got the money to go for his next big item. But maybe with this gank on top lane, that'll be a way to do it. S4's reaction, that Blink Dagger, not going to be in time. The Blink into stun, charge coming as well. Lil lending his extra stun. In fact, a Laguna Blade just in case S4 had anything more to give.
So they were able to get like half the stack down in the ancient stack, and Loda's waiting for his flat cannon to cool down. So it's not worth a T2 and a Brewmaster death though, especially when his ultimate is up.
What do you think about Loda's item build change? So he went for the Sunge early on, and now it looks like he's starting up for the BKB. And bypassing going for that earlier Yasha to finish up the SY.
BKB is really good against Razor until he gets his own BKB, which is looking like it's going to be a long time coming. Similar to how Illidan's Blink was really good until Brewmaster gets his Blink. But I don't know, Illidan is not in the position that you want your number 1 to be in. He's 1,500 gold behind Loda right now.
It's a very defensive nature again from Alliance. I wasn't quite sure if this kind of playstyle would work. Like it was what created doubts in their game up against Cloud9. The fact it was this, like, it was safety on top of safety on top of safety. And this draft from Alliance kind of feels that same way. They've got really good teamfight control. You run the Doombringer, which is always that safe kind of farmer.
But they have the right heroes to delay into the mid game. Like Brewmaster is nearly impossible to win teamfights against, up until the 20-25 minute mark, or when you get your BKBs, which might even be later than that mark. So,
and what do you even do against the Brewmaster? If this Brewmaster starts getting more life, like you talked about the triple stun combo before, like the Dragon Tail with the charge in and the Light Striker, right? After that, you've kind of got nothing more to give. If you throw all that into the Brewmaster and he gets a split, how else do you win the team fight if you're Virtus.Pro against Alliance?
Yeah, you really need to make sure that he doesn't have a split off. But, that's where the vacuum wall comes in from Darkseer. That's where Razor's Static Link comes in against the Gyrocopter.
I was wondering then if it would have been more worthwhile for Lil to get some extra level of control, be it Orchid or something like that, but it looks like he's just going to go directly into the Aghanim's upgrade on his Laguna Blade.
Yeah, they have to rely on the Dragon Knight stun. It's on such a low cooldown that once you get the levels, you can just, blink, kill once his ultimate's up. But they kind of need Roshan pretty soon too. I don't know, VP are kind of letting this mid game slip away from them. This is where their lineup's supposed to be at its best.
Well, they 5-man smoke, look for the opening. Illidan already into Dragon form. They're coming for S4, and Alliance, look at it. The timing of S4 perfectly moves back to the tier 2 tower, understands that everyone is missing. They did not see the smoke, but they have to understand that something is up.
I mean, they have the defensive sleep though. Ake's standing right behind him, knowing that S4 is the key to this fight and what VP are going to look to just immediately take out.
Loader. He's in the worst position here of all of Alliance, and maybe now he can be initiated on. Illidan, there's the Laguna Blade. Loader can't be protected. Walk back through the lanes. A good clap from S4, but he needs to get this split off in time. But Nightmare buys him the space to do so. Then the split, but no! He's brought down! Alliance! They've lost 2 huge cores, and VP with a creep wave here. They're going to inflict some good damage into the tier 3 tower. What a pick-off time!
FNG has been amazing on this Spirit Breaker, from the positioning of his charges to the instant charges on the Brewmaster. That time he blinked and clapped, wanted to go for a split. Nope, FNG just charged him up. It was crazy.
And they might find another. Into RK with the Breathe Fire, but it's going to be FNG to find this kill. 3 heroes down for Alliance. They could take out the range racks pretty easily here, Virtus.Pro. Getting more than that, maybe not. They've got Gyro as well as Brewmaster up in 5 seconds time. And that's with their ulti still intact. So VP will back up 21 minutes in. And Alliance, they're here for the chase. Scorcher is off cooldown for Admiral Bulldog. And FNG charges in. He already gets a kill on the Disruptor. The back into a big light strike array. Alliance, they may lose everything here. The damage from Loader. He's doing terrible damage to God as well. It's a triple kill for Loader. An ultra kill. Lil will shut him down as well as putting Bulldog in the grave. The Laguna Blade enslaved, saving VP from being completely team wiped.
Oh man, that's really close to a scepter now, but I think VP's always kind of one step ahead of Alliance though in the team fights. They realize that, okay, they're probably all sitting behind the Brewmaster, and then they're going to use their defensive cooldowns, like a drop a Static Storm on top of him, for example, to make sure that he gets off his ultimate. So instead they smoke around and go for a target that Alliance don't think they're really going to go for in the Gyrocopter, who's right outside of his T3, and that's a fairly risky play by VP, but it worked out for them in the end.
You could see Loader as well hesitating as he came that way. Like, he backed up twice. He changed his pathing twice to come back in front of the tower or not. You almost feel like Alliance was looking to use Loader as bait at that point when they first initiated in.
Yeah, but they weren't on the same page. There were 4 heroes mid and then 1 hero in the bottom lane. And then as soon as he got first stun, they're like, oh crap, we're in the wrong place.
This is the reason why most of the panelists, in fact, all of the panelists, including Red, all were backing Virtus.Pro. Because you'd still feel like if you're a gambling man coming into this game, that VP's team coordination is going to be stronger than Alliance. Alliance is still a little bit rocky, but when you have that damage coming out from the Gyrocopter, it just does so much for you.
Yeah, I mean, he has a lot of HP right now.
Yeah, and with the BKB, he won't be controlled like he was previously. The Spirit Breaker is still the only hero that is able to penetrate that immunity. Actually, you do have it with Alina because she does have the Aghanim Scepter as well, but with the lifesteal, Loader should be able to survive through the fights to get his full combo of abilities off.
I mean, if he gets his BKB off.
Yeah, that's true.
It depends on whether or not Dragon Knight gets a stun on him first, but Dragon Knight still, look at his items, just, some strength items and a Blink Dagger.
I think Loader's going to be very happy if he's the one taking the early Dragon Knight initiation, because that means S4 then gets space, and Admiral Bulldog then also has space.
Well, the S4 threat in the fights have been heavily neutralized, though. He's 1-4-1, and this is kind of where Brewmaster starts to fall off a little bit, unless he's able to pick up that Vlad's and the AC to continue to offer his team something in a team fight.
How fast can Alliance be at this? VP just smoked up. They passed their tier 1 tower in the mid lane, and Roshan, he's ticking down low, under 2,000 now, and it looks like Alliance will be able to finish the job. So they'll have the Aegis Immortal before this fight. It goes into the hands of the Doombringer, and the back wall catching out nuts towards Arcade. The 2 supports from Alliance instantly gone to Phobos, but Loader turns on his damage, and now they win the split as well. They've got the control back to Phobos, runs himself away, but S4 will take him out of this fight. Illidan also doomed up. We just splintered 3 different parts, God as well as Phobos almost surviving. In fact, Phobos now stunned up by S4. Stop finding that kill. The TP from FNG, however, successful, did it inside the pit. So it ends up being a 2-for-2 trade-off. But that initiation for the Darkseer, perfect onto Alliance's supports.
The fight was a little bit too hectic for VP at the start, though. They ended up lagooning down the Aegis target, and instead of, let's say, controlling the gyrocopter, and he was able to pop his BKB off in a timely manner and just finish all of VP off.
And Lotus getting stronger and stronger too. Like, it's not just the fact he's the top net worth by almost 3,000. He's finished up the SMY, he's got the BKB, he's got the lifesteal. Now you can start working your way into, well, do you just go directly for damage at this point if you're the gyro, or is it worthwhile getting like a bit of a crossover? You get something like a butterfly instead.
I like the butterfly.
There's no Monkey King bar heroes for VP.
Yeah, butterfly is still pretty good damage. I mean, they have a lot of armor though with the Razor and the Dragonite, so MKB is still good. I would say one of those two items though. If he's really scared about getting targeted, I suppose he can get a Scotty, but that's not enough damage.
What's also a good build for the Brewmaster in this game? Like, in the old days,
build.
you'd instantly just say the Aghanim Scepter, but so he just goes to the Aura, so looking at Sulcura.
I think at this point, by the time he gets to Ags, it's not going to be effective. I think, like, you know, having the Vlads and the Wolf from Doom and the Drums and the Shivas and the AC is going to be really big for Alliance in the end.
Well, he does go for the Vlads. They're using the Dominated Siege creep to kite out this Radiant Creep Wave, which is fairly substantial.
Yeah, I think, you know, all those small items and auras add up too. And on top of that, like, if you invest too many items on S4, like, let's say he gets Blink and Stunned and Doomed, for example, or Blink, Stunned, and Laguna down, like, he won't be able to offer anything if he has a Scepter. Whereas, you know, if he is able to tank that much with that much armor, you know, he can still, you know, maybe tank some damage from Lotus so that he can finish everyone off.
There is one thing which is going to play around a little bit with VP's initiation. The fact that that middle lane was farmed up by Arcade, Alliance gave him the space, so now he's got a Glimmer Cape also available. So VP initiate, if that Glimmer is fast enough, now you've got Glimmer, Nightmare, and Fiend's Grip to mess around with VP's initiation.
Yeah, they don't have any detection, actually.
Yep.
The magic resistance is not that useful, but the invisibility certainly is.
It's just not one of those games where you think, okay, these are going to be like the Shadow Blade style heroes. Like, it's been a long time since we've seen it over on the Gyrocopter. The Doombringer is more of a common item, but Admiral Bulldog decides to go more for the BKB, the strength, combining up with the Shiva's Guard. Obviously, he's still working on that BKB, but he's a Doombringer with Devour, so working is very simple for him.
Yeah, I mean, his job is just disrupt the fights and take away a lot of the attention from the Brewmaster and the Gyro. Kind of exactly what he did at the Roche pit, and providing vision with the Shiva's Guard so that they can position themselves accordingly. Still, VP lacks sustained damage. Dragonite falling further and further behind Alliance's position 1.
So when he's begging for a damage item, anything he can get his hands on.
I mean, he's going to have to rely on the Razor to drain a lot of damage, and then maybe he can just get an AC to further augment Razor's damage.
It's kind of hard for Razor to do that. Like,
he has a BKB now.
With his BKB, yes, but you've still got high movement speed heroes. It's almost maybe worth getting 4 staffs now over on the Alliance support heroes. They got your Glimmer Cape, you got your Arcanes and Urn.
I think 4 staff is definitely a good item against the Razor. I think it's one of the few ways to actually deal with the static link on the Gyro, unless you get a Lotus Orb and precast it. But that's what they need to do in the fight. They need to drain the Gyro's damage, because on the flip side, Alliance actually don't have that much damage too if you eliminate the Gyrocopter from the equation.
Alliance again. When they put down that Observer Ward and Sentry inside the Radiant Jungle and left Loader farming the camp just to the north of it, you'd instantly think, okay, Alliance, again, it's the Loader bait. They want VP to initiate in on him.
Yeah, but they have to be careful that Phobos, you know, doesn't pull a fast one over them, blink behind them, vacuum wall everyone else, and then Loda's out to die.
Yeah.
Because Loda's the only one with a BKB, so everyone can still get vacuum wall into potentially, like, let's say, a Lina stun. That would be brutal.
It's tower trade time, except there's no other towers for Alliance. So Alliance can just TP themselves back. Actually, they can't because Loader doesn't have a TP. Neither does Disruptor, so Nuts and Loader can't come instantly back. If VP are aware of this, they could just push. In fact, it might almost be worth it for Arcade to give that TP scroll over. In fact, Loader's already walking himself back. This is going to take a very long time to retreat. But they take out the tier 2 tower. Tier 3 tower takes minimal damage, and VP don't force the issue.
More importantly, though, they get the ward inside of Alliance's base, so they can see exactly who they want to go on. Bulldog walks into positioning. So I don't think they see S4 yet, but they see Bulldog and Loda.
They still don't see Nuts as well. They're probably worried about that Disruptor. Disruptor has some really good control over on the Spirit Breaker.
They don't say Ake. I'd say Ake is actually a pretty big deal too, because he can control the Razor.
That Observable actually really has limited vision. They need to get rid of the building for it to work. Okay, now it's going to be even better. As now Illidan into Dragon form, looks up to S4, gets a stun, they'll charge into. The Doom's already on the BK beat up Illidan. S4 the back, it doesn't work combining up with Laguna Blade. Nuts, he can't get the ulti off, but Loda turns on the flag cannon damage, is still not really enough, but they'll drag Lil back in, so there'll be at least a 1-for-1 trade-off here. Actually, it's ending going to be a 2, as that DK also dropped things down. Loda's having all that damage on, over 220, but God can't stay in close enough as Alliance back underneath their tier 4 towers. And VP a man down. Yeah, Loda's got no damage, but he's okay with this.
It looked like a pretty good fight for VP, but they had to just commit so much to killing the Brewmaster. The Vacuum Wall, the Laguna, their BKBs, and still they have a damage problem. They can kill one target, but what about after that? Whereas Gyrocopter can just flat cannon their whole entire team. And now Roshan's going to respawn pretty soon. And VP needed to make sure they don't give another one over.
Yeah, I'd love to know the exact time. At the moment, we just know it could potentially spawn in 1 minute and 10 seconds. And Alliance will have to start warning around here, because if you actually look at the vision, they've only got one observer ward down on the Radiant side of the field, and that's down inside the Radiant jungle. So they understand when VP move back to farm, and they'll also understand now when they smoke gank it up, because they have that observer ward now freshly planted inside their own jungle. So Alliance just trying to get as much intel on VP's movements as possible.
Yeah, I think this is the time, though. VP can blow the game wide open if they get one more pick into Roche, into another Rax. They only got the range Rax on bottom, but they already have a smoke on the
coming.
Lina.
S4 blinks away just in time. The charge is on the way. Illidan couldn't get the charge. In fact, now they go for the split. FNG's in a little bit too fast. They send FNG up into the air. Nuts can basically solo him up right now. With the Brewmaster making a little bit of space, FNG hits the deck, and VP, they cut their losses. They accept the fact that Spirit Breaker is down.
Even though we haven't seen that many Brewmaster splits from Alliance, it just puts so much pressure on VP, and I think it was actually a really good pick versus them, because VP's strength is all about the mid game, and now VP's in this position where if they don't commit to killing the Brewmaster, all their heroes are just going to get wrecked by the Brewlings, but if they do, then they don't have any damage left for the Gyrocopter, or let's say the Doombringer even.
Yeah, we kind of forget about Admiral Bulldog. Like the man who just completed up his BKB, still walking around with this aura of his, making Alliance stronger. Like, he's not any focus. You're more worried about everyone else apart from the Doombringer, which is kind of almost a stupid thing to say.
I mean, his Shiva's Guard aura is doing a lot too in mitigating VP's damage. Like, none of them have attack speed items. There's no AC out on VP, not even a Hyperstone.
Yeah, God though does have that plate mail, so he's on his way. He's got 2,600 gold. But he needs space to farm.
I think he might be going Shivas though, and DK going AC. That's usually what you'll see.
Okay. Yeah, you are right. The Hyperstone just got picked up by Illidan.
Because they kind of want both of them. So Razor can actually stay in. But at the same time, there's I don't think any other better damage item or team fight in damage item for Dragon Knight from AC. But Roshan respawning very, very soon. Alliance already trying to control that area.
Yeah. Lil's going to try and remove that control by grabbing up that gem. So it does take 33 minutes for the gem to appear. But there's only one... Okay, there's 2 wards for them to grab, because there's another observe ward watching over the mid lane from Alliance. They actually see if VP cross the river anywhere. The only thing that will allow them to go undetected would be that smoke gank. And they do have both the gem and the smoke now on the Lina. So they group up. Phobos not being part of the party. In fact, he just wants to iron shell the creeps so the middle lane pushes in a little bit harder. And Alliance waited out. It's only a couple of seconds till Roshan is up, and that dominated creep, the Hellbearer of Loader, is just keeping tabs on it.
And Lina also has a gem now, so if VP lose one big fight, this could be it for them.
Well, here they come. They smoke up, they move towards Roshan. You kind of expect Roshan to be up at this point. They don't have any vision inside the pit or any easy way to scout out what is inside the pit. So they're committing as though the fight's probably going to happen, but Alliance haven't shown themselves anywhere, so you assume they're in Roshan. They come in, the Hellbear's there, they're staring down Roshan, but Alliance is already back and defending. So VP have the choice. Do they fight or do they take Roche? And it looks like the answer is fight. With the Hellbear watching Roshan, maybe not the greatest choice. Illidan jumps in, goes on S4, Phobos back into a big wall, catching up 3. Can they get the split up? S4, yeah, he can. They only lost the disruptor in the feed strip. It keeps got him in position. Loaded keeps that damage pumping out, but will it really be enough as we split the fight up? Admiral Bullock's just playing around with the leader on the back lines, but it's Loader killing up the Spirit Breaker. The doomed up god now no longer doomed, and Illidan, he's got that life. Can he fight it? Loader, he can't see him. The Glimmercade buys him that space. God's about to die to S4. He beats him down with one last attack. 3 down for Virtus.Pro. Lil is still on the run, but S4, Laguna Blade of the Slave, combining up with a back mix so he cannot blink or get away. So it will be a 2-for-3 trade-off as Lil is capable of TPing out under the cover of the Fog of War. Now leveling the board up at 18 apiece, 35 minutes in.
That was a good zoom on the Razor. It was before he got his static link off, and S4's been in this position where, okay, if VP go on him, they can't really finish off the fight from there. Bane used all his defensive abilities on the Brewmaster. He got a split off, and from there you can tell that the fight is going to go worse and worse for VP.
And what a big thing as well for Alliance. Not only do they take that fight, but it's the timing they take the fight. The fact that now Alliance can just walk in, they can grab the Aegis, the Immortals, their second life is available, and VP, what have they really got left? FNG and Phobos? They're coming in. Phobos, he doesn't really have a lot of mana in the Nightmare. It keeps Spirit Breaker up. This will allow Alliance to finish the job. They don't have Doom available with the homing missile coming forward. The back, he puts 2 of them on the wall. Admiral Bulldog as well as Loader can't get back down again. RK and Nuts have to hang around. Even the Hellbear's up there with them. Alliance playing with pets on a hill. And what can they do? The TP scrolls are flying out in the courier at the moment, but the charge comes in from FNG. Nuts, where's that control? He's actually going to get charged down. The Glimmer Cave can't find him enough space, not while Lil's still holding onto that gem. And RK also on the run out of here. Loader finally TPing out, so is Admiral Bulldog. There's no secondary interruption, so they do not get kept up on that hillside. But wow. Alliance losing both of their supports after taking up the Aegis Immortal. Great play there by VP to get something in return. Yeah, Phobos with a miracle play there and isolating 2 of the supports. Now they can actually burst down those core heroes. S4 jumps out, gets a split straight away, including the Clamp as well. Spirit Breaker wants out this one. They have the Doom available. The Shiva's Guard will pop. A Spirit Breaker charges himself away, but God, with a BKB, Static Link starting takes 98 points of damage away from the Gyrocopter, but now it's VP's turn. Can they escape the Brewmaster, sending Lil up into the air? Admiral Bulldog still with his ability of Doom, but they jump back in, the back end wall, the charge from FNG! The timing is perfect! Alliance, they're gonna lose 3! The buyback comes out from Loader, trying to get back for the bash on Admiral Bulldog. The Aegis Immortal will give him the secondary life. Nuts, maybe he can also work this in as if he throws down that Storm. Needs to control a VP a little bit more. Phobos not a healthy man. The Storm won't be enough to work, and in fact, God, he's doing it. The double kill for him. Loader again losing the damage, and God just being empowered by this. 224 points again. He avoids the call down, but with the attack in the plasma field, he needs another one with a charge from FNG. He'll get that one too. Triple kill for God. Bulldog can't do anything. The sole survivor, and 100 seconds without the Gyrocopter due to the dieback.
Wow, and they're probably kicking themselves over giving the Aegis to the Doombringer instead of the Gyrocopter. So Gyrocopter died, bought back, and died again. And again, Phobos with the miracle plays. I mean, that vacuum really just won the game for them, or, you know, put them in this position where they're actually in a really good position now instead of Alliance having the Aegis. But just isolating those supports and...
It's the 2 times over, and Alliance having no way down. You always come back to what we talked about 10 minutes ago. Where are these Force Staffs that work perfectly against the Razor? In positions like that, it would have been beautiful, but they were trying to rush into the Aghanim Scepter over on Nuts. That's why they didn't have it there, and the Bane purchased the gem.
Yeah, it would have been nice for them, too, to just force that people down from that cliff. That Hellbear is still stuck up there.
That would have been a lot more efficient than let's wait 25 seconds for the courier to fly from base down to Roshan, deliver the TPs, then they have to drop their items as well on the hillside. The Magic Wand is still sitting there from, I think it was actually Loader's.
Yeah, I mean, you can't prepare for that situation, though. They think that the Scepter is going to be much better versus the BKBs coming out and stopping like a vacuum wall combo that we saw Phobos just pull off in the last fight.
And now VP, they still haven't taken the ranked advantage, and pushing into Alliance is not a simple task. Like, finding the initiation has been hard enough as it is, but when you go against all the clearance that Alliance has,
Yeah, but now they're getting their items up. Dragonite with almost his AC completed. G, I guess, working maybe on a Scotty, I suppose, with the Ultimate Orb.
Would Scotty be the play, or almost be worth going like a Scythe of Vice so they have that extra control time over on the Brew?
I mean, he could also be going for a Lincoln so he doesn't get doomed or Fiend's Grip during his BKB. So
yeah, a lot of options.
Yeah. But they don't have a BKB up yet on the Bane, so they can still interrupt it with the Dark Seer. But yeah, I don't know if he really cares that much about getting doomed. He has to get his like Shivas and ulti off. It's a question of whether or not he's going to be able to get the static link off before the Doom.
Well, Alliance looks like they're playing very scared at the moment. After that fight with the Darkseer initiation, I don't blame them. But they are starting to get a little bit more power coming their way. Admiral Bulldog, even with the nerf, he still decides to go in for that Aghanim Scepter over on the Doombringer. S4's got his full BKB combined up with the Vlad, so now he's actually able to BKB blink in, fight a little bit more, and then split. Can cause a couple more problems for Virtus.Pro.
This is one of the few games where you see like the Doom target actually almost fight through the entire duration of the Doom and still be in relatively close vicinity to the Doom too. So I think it's a very good pickup in this game.
So just forcing VP to disengage and then come back in again.
Or die.
Or die. Yeah, that would be the ideal scenario if you're a Alliance fan. If you're a VP fan, it's disengage and then come back in again.
It also makes for a better build-up too into the Refresher.
That is true. Because then he can lock down both the DK as well as the Razor.
So as of right now, Alliance is still confident in their late game. Gyrocopter is still mega farmed compared to the DK, but they don't really want to take any risk. They're already 1 racks down.
And they already lost a huge advantage. Like during that last fight and over the course of the last couple of minutes, they've lost almost 10,000, in fact over 10,000 net worth.
Yeah, but it really hasn't impacted Loda's net worth. He's still on top, and that was with buying back and dying, which goes to show how crazy far ahead he was.
Yep. Sorry, correct. XP, not net worth. The net worth doesn't look as bad. That's only 5,000.
That's actually pretty surprising considering they've been down to range racks. I guess that melee racks would have been ideal for VP. It would have really stunted Alliance's growth.
They just didn't have time when they pushed before. They took what they can get. Because they would have been kicking themselves if they attacked the melee racks and then it just regenerates up because they couldn't finish it.
But they need an AC on the side of Alliance.
They do. But what are you going to do? You're going to put that now into the hands of Admiral Bulldog? It almost feels like Admiral Bulldog needs to blink himself forward. Like, I know you're talking about Refresher Orb over on this Doombringer, but Bulldog, like, if you look back at that mid-fight, like, probably 10-15 minutes ago, he walked himself in and then never really found a target. Like, there was a couple that he wanted, but he had to walk through almost the entire VP line to reach them.
Well, he's their meat shield, right? He wants to get focused.
Yeah.
He has 2,500 HP. He has 21 armor. I mean, he kind of walks up there, and then once S4 sees a good time to run in, once Loda sees a good time to drop his call down, then they all just follow up the Doom, and he's almost certainly going to get his spells off with that Aid of Glimmer and Defensive Nightmare. So you're not really worried about him getting his Doom off. I think that's maybe when you want to go for the Blink Dagger, but they still need a little bit more damage, which is where the Scepter comes in.
VP, they got that Dire base ward up once again. Alliance, they need RK to walk up. Once he walks up, he'll reveal the fact this Observe ward is there. For now, the Observe ward actually doesn't see any of the heroes of Alliance. It keeps getting a glimpse, yeah. It's getting a glimpse of S4. That's the only information they've gotten so far. With the creep wave arriving, now Admiral Bulldog also comes into vision range. But RK does not want to move forward. If he moves forward, he's got the potential to be initiated on. That's the reason why he's not searching for the ward.
Eventually, they have to move outside of their base, though.
Well, bottom lane, they find a catch out. It's Admiral Bulldog. He's got a hell of a lot of armor to get through, and in fact, now BKB from S4 initiates over on the Spirit Breaker. Drunken Haste on Lilda's keeping him out, and they can glimpse if they want to. FNG a long way back, but Eldon jumps forward, goes on Admiral Bulldog with a goon to play. They're going to kill him off in time. Yeah, they do, but Loda with a big call down. He's losing his damage, however. God can be Fiend's Grip, but he got the static link off, and that's the big part of this fight. RK and Nuts, they try and retreat as well. RK will hide himself inside the Glimmer Cape with the Nightmare trying to buy space for the Breeze Fire, doing the work, giving Eldon a double kill, and this may almost be the game. S4's the sole survivor, no BKB, no split. The bottom ranks and the mid ranks are now forfeit of Alliance, and they could lose more. They could even lose S4. He blinks away, and the buyback comes out from Loda.
You really have to commend FNG again. He like pulls Alliance so they're all outside of their base. Initially it was just a Doombringer, and then they see this lone Spirit Breaker, his BKB recently acquired.
Wow, that's confidence of S4. Blinks in with no BKB or split, takes the stuns, which are all easily up again by Virtus.Pro. They back him and they kill him off. 72 seconds on the sideline. Without him and with Gyro facing a dieback, in fact, Loader, he just does anything he can. There's no other real choice for him at this point. Triggers the BKB, but with Loader dying, Alliance buying back on Disruptor. They just keep fighting, but it's a futile cause. GG is called. Virtus.Pro will take game 1 against Alliance.
Wow, crazy good execution by VP. I am super impressed how they carried this through with a position 1 Dragon Knight. They had the pressure on them. It was like, oh man, we have to deal with the Gyrocopter in the late game, but I think FNG just pulled Alliance around like puppets.
Yeah, he did great. Phobos, though, his plays really gave them that extra advantage, and Darkseer, he's always been a hero to be feared when you get those combos off as well. You worry about it, FNG's charges work, but everything from VP just seemed to work that game.
Yeah, I think they have to be really happy with that win.
Yeah, they do. Solid draft, solid play, solid game.